Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, you know how I know baseball is back? It's not that I'm watching games, going to games, opening up the MLB TV app and having to type back in our company's credit card information. Mm-hmm. It's not that I see people complaining about how it's actually literally impossible to sign up for Passan in some instances. It's not that Tony Vitello is giving speeches that got the boys too fired up. It's none of those things.
Been there.
Like before the podcast, we're just doing rah, fire and brimstone speeches. You can really tell the energy of the show is very much like high school football coach, strength coach. No, it's none of those things. It's that we are getting Google alerts for different guys who suck at pitching, blaming their sucking on tipping pitches.
Yeah. I'm sick of this.
This week it was Miles Michaelis on talknats.com. Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Michaelis. He wasn't even the one that suggested it. They were doing it on his behalf.
Oh my God.
And was Michaelis tipping pitches with his changeup? It was the only pitch he had no swing and misses on. The second inning came to a merciful end one batter later with the Nats trailing 4-0. No, guys, no. Miles Michaelis just sucks. As the experts on tipping pitches, we can confirm he's not tipping his pitches.
Correct.
He's just not good.
Yep. Look, I know we're going to get into this a little bit. Baseball's back. We have our first games of the season to talk about, and with it, there's a lot to go into. But on opening night, in that game between the Yankees and the Giants.
Not opening night. Not canon. Not to me.
All right.
Fake. It was a publicity stunt. Scripted game. Fake. Didn't really happen as far as I'm concerned.
Look, there's a lot to get into if we want or if we don't want to. I kind of don't really care either way. But they did mic up Jazz Chisholm in what I think was maybe a good on-field interview with the player. Wow. That's my take about it. But he said, I think, something very similar to what you and I tend to say, which is if the opposing team is picking up on your pitches, you should do better. You should hide them more. The other team is going to try and pick up your signs. That's kind of part of the game.
I think that pitchers should just start trying to do wacky shit before every pitch now.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than try to be this perfect execution of operational security over which pitch is coming, I think that you should just maybe employ misdirection. Mm-hmm. Maybe employ some different tactics.
Yeah.
Surprise and delight them rather than just trying to constantly hold your cards close to the chest. Bluff.
I know. Yeah. We got to get these guys around a poker table. Come on.
Bluffing pitches, I hope, catches on. Maybe it's not for me to decide. It's for the listeners to decide. Bluffing pitches is when you tell me that you're ready to record the podcast and we get on and I throw it to you and you're just kind of like...
like, what?
Wait, what topic is this?
Spring has sprung, baseball's back, and pitchers are tipping. That's what it's all about.
Okay. We have quite a packed episode for you all today. We are, of course, rolling out the 2026 bingo card. I don't know any other way to say it other than last year we let you down.
Mm-hmm, we did.
We predicted a bunch of stuff that did not happen. Now, I felt many of those things should have happened, got close to happening, but look, scoreboard speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm. We
flopped it. We're going to review last year's bingo card. We're going to remind people how good we were in 2024, which is the reason that we're still doing this exercise, trying to get back to that elite level.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have an interview with Jeff Passan or whatever later in the podcast. But before we get to all of that,
who?
No, it's just some guy who writes a couple times a year. And we were like, we'll give him a shot here on this megaphone that is tipping pitches.
Yeah.
But before we get to all of that, I am Bobby Wagner.
I'm Alex Baisley.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches. Okay, thank you to this week's new patrons. Good week. I saw a bunch of new patrons rolling in, and I was like, why is everyone signing up? And then I remembered that the baseball season started, so probably a bunch of people realized that they could sign up to listen to more Tipping Pitches. Thanks to Dylan. Thanks to Squishy Spazero. Eric, Darren, Tanner, Sam, Emma, Mr. Frosty Dog, Connor, Philip, Ori, and Lisa. Okay, we're going to do the bingo card. Then we're going to have a conversation with Jeff Passan. Let me just quickly say, to tease that, a few weeks ago, Jeff wrote an article about being on the precipice of the season, and this came after Tony stepped down as executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Association. I believe this was after Bruce Sherman had already been unanimously elected. Bruce Sherman. Wow, the PA really is rolling over. They're just electing an owner. Sorry, Bruce Meyer was elected unanimously as the new executive director of the Players Association. And the thesis of the article was like, baseball's got a little juice back. Baseball's got some momentum. We need to keep that momentum. And in order to keep that momentum, we can't lose games after this season. We can't have some big lockout or strike like 1994 that disturbs the growth of the game, the momentum of the game. I understood where Jeff was coming from with that article as someone who is a huge baseball fan and whose career is centered around covering baseball for a media entity that is in partnership with the league and broadcasts games. I understand that perspective. And generally, I agree I'd like to not miss games. But I had a lot of notes about that column. And so I sent him a message and I said, if you want to just work through some of these notes, we could just do it live on the podcast. And, he said yes. So that's what we have coming up later in the podcast. We'll get into some stuff that is not just collective bargaining. We'll talk about the broader landscape of baseball. But that's how we got there. That's coming up later in the pod. I'm going to do the bingo card. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we do the bingo card? Obviously, we've had a few days of games. Mm-hmm. ABS is on the table. The weird schedule of opening week. Do you want to spend a couple minutes talking about Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium? Because I'm not opposed.
This is the new X the Everything app, right? I think we have to say the full name every time it comes up on this podcast.
Blaze your glory. What's the blaze your glory of Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium?
Blazer glory.
I don't get it.
Because they sell basics, including blazer.
Oh, blazer, like the clothing item.
Right.
When I think Uniqlo, I think white t-shirts.
You're not thinking hard enough, brother.
I also think about black t-shirts, gray t-shirts.
Yeah.
Socks.
Olive t-shirts. I think big on sort of the olive.
Yeah, they do love olive.
Fall greens. Yeah.
I bought a lot. I'm just going to be real with you, dog. I bought a lot of stuff at Uniqlo in Japan. And so when they made this announcement, the day after I landed back in America, I was like, this is great. I love this. I love when they choose a product that I like. Mm-hmm. This could be why is everybody so mad about this? This could be so much worse. This could be like Goldman Sachs Field at Dodger Stadium presented by FTX or something.
Yeah.
This could be way worse. Uniqlo's awesome. They make t-shirts. They're affordable. They're nice. High quality.
Also, this is one of those naming conventions that no one's ever going to actually use anyway. So kind of what does it matter? When the A's were still playing in Oakland at the Coliseum, they named the field itself. It was Rickey Henderson Field, but no one was
A's used to play in Oakland? Yeah, but that's cool though. Rickey Henderson Field is cool.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is cool and deserving of that. And I'm glad he got a year of that field being named.
A whole year. One whole year.
But you're still going to say I'm going to Dodger Stadium.
Well, and you wouldn't be wrong to say that. Once you get to Dodger Stadium, if you look out there, I hope you don't say something like, I'm looking out at Dodger Field.
Right. Because that would be incorrect.
Anyway, I'm looking out at Uniqlo Field. There was a really important moment for me on the Sinners press tour where Michael B. Jordan, I'm going to bring this back to baseball, I swear, where Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler were giving an interview and they were both wearing crisp white t-shirts. And I believe the interviewer complimented their white t-shirts. And I think it was Michael B. Jordan. I can't remember if it was him or Kugler, who was like, "Oh yeah, they're from Uniqlo, aren't they dope?" And the interviewer was like, "Yeah,
You
they
saw
look really
yourself
nice."
in that moment.
And I was like, "I see myself here, a guy who wears Uniqlo t-shirts."
I'm glad that you can see yourself in Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan.
Look, it's a universal experience that they're conveying. Just being
It
a
is.
guy trying to find the best t-shirt that you can find without breaking the bank. You know,
It's harder than you would think.
It is harder than you would think. I've sampled high and low. I've spent a lot of money. I've spent a little money. I've spent everywhere
I
in
know.
between.
Others don't know, but I know.
My $1,000 Hugo Boss Otani t-shirt
Right.
that I had to sneak through customs. ABS, pro, anti. Are you
I don't know.
blown-
I
are you
missed
blown
it
over,
along with
bowled
everyone
over by
else.
it? You missed it?
Yeah, remember on the Netflix broadcast we missed the very first ABS.
Oh, I wasn't watching that. I'm just
I know
gonna be
you
honest.
weren't. I know.
That's fake opening day, not canon. Congrats on the Yankees for being 2-0.
Yeah, but I need to know the slop that's being delivered to the rest of the baseball watching world, right? Someone has to be on that beat.
Right, you're in the fans union.
Fan news, right? I tend to think of myself as the median
You're
baseball
logged in.
fan.
You have like 6 monitors, right? You have like the fan union forum. You have the virtual ballpark. You have the Netflix feed. You have what else? What else you got open? Truth Social. You
I
know,
still
just
have some
checking the
MLB
baseball
NFTs.
tag.
I don't really know where they're going, but
Bro, remember on the podcast? Remember that time on the podcast where there was like some sort of sponsorship with a bathing ape, the clothing company, and I kept thinking that it was just the Bored Ape.
yep. Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of people in Japan wearing bathing ape stuff, and every time I was like, "Why are they wearing
Like,
NFTs?"
Keep up. Come on. The space moves fast. I need you on
Too
top
fast.
of this.
Too
fast.
fast.
I know.
Some would argue.
I know. That's just efficiency and optimization and process.
Yeah, efficiency. That's what I always say. The truth is,
Efficiency moving through all the bad ideas.
I missed the game on Wednesday because I was at a work event, and I couldn't be watching it on Netflix on my phone. I was at a work dinner. I did, however, second screen the Mets during my like offsite team meeting, and I told everyone that the Mets won when they won on opening day, and it was crickets, bro. Nobody cared. I was like, I don't think you guys know how much better of a worker this is making me that the Mets won today. Like, we got a couple more hours of solid work from me, and if that didn't happen, we would need to wrap this thing up. Let's go home.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't it feel great to be back, to have your mental state determined solely by what this group of men does on a field, on a nameless field, I might add.
For now.
For now.
Well, no, it's City Field. The whole stadium. It's not City Stadium. It's just City Field. As far as Steve Cohen is concerned, there's no stadium at all. It's just City Field.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it feels good to have them determine my mental health because it was getting exhausting determining it myself, frankly. I'm just, Jesus, take the wheel, you know?
Dude, I'm like halfway through Black Edge. The
You love to drop shit like this on me.
the book about Steve Cohen's insider trading
Alleged.
journey. It's not even alleged. It's like he famously was like the point of point 72 is insider trading. Anyway, there's nothing
It's
to
like
say
a
there.
guy who
we need to do a
discovers
debrief.
yoga. It's his journey. You know,
Yes.
it's his journey on discovering how much insider trading he could do.
Right. That's to achieve enlightenment.
Perfect segue to the band, not the band topics. We already did those. I hope we don't break that. I don't remember what they were.
Me
Perfect segue to the 2026 bingo card, Alex. If you don't know, we retired the long time episode that we did to preview the season, the all GIF draft. That's GIF. GIF. I just got tired of having to say that, which is why we stopped doing the idea.
Mm-hmm.
No, we retired it because it's a visual medium, and frankly, we were never going to pivot to video. And the pressure was mounting as we continued to do episodes about strictly visual things. GIFs don't even have sound. That was an episode format in which we previewed the season by going back and forth and inviting our friends in the podcast to draft the players that we thought were going to be the most visually exciting and thus produce the best GIFs. You don't really see GIFs on the internet anymore as much as you used to. Not now that everybody's on TikTok.
Yeah, they've fallen out of vogue.
Year, yeah, maybe next year we could do the all fan cams draft. Which players are going to inspire the best fan cams? You can tell your
not
wheels are
the
turning.
worst idea we've had here on Tipping Pitches, if I'm being honest.
we retired the all gift draft in favor of doing the bingo card. It was 2024, so we made 24 predictions for the 2024 MLB season. Just like a shocking amount of them came true. A bunch of people hit bingo with like some time to spare in the season. And I'm talking, these were some bold claims. And it just so happened that we got lucky and a lot of them came true. So we ran it back in 2025. We were like, this was fun. You know, maybe we're on a little bit of a hot streak. We've got a hot hand. You can see how the gambler's mindset takes over even here on the pod.
Yep.
And we flopped it last year. We did 24 predictions again because that's bingo card is 5x5. It's not always going to work out that it's 24 predictions for 2024. We only got 6 things right last year. Not including the free space. The 6 that we got were fast food mascot throws first pitch out for a non-Mets team. Does a crypto-related promotion. Manfred meets with Trump. Macklemore banned from Mariners ballpark. Michael K. crash out. And a story about a team using AI in their front office. Those were the only things that we correctly predicted. I'm not going to waste everyone's time by going through and sharing all the things that we incorrectly predicted, except for the 2 that we will carry over from 2025 into 2026. Have you prepared the one that you would like to carry over from 2025?
I have my one, yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
David Rubenstein buys a new historical document.
Same one. You're carrying over the same one.
I'm carrying the same one. It's because it's got to happen eventually. Like, this guy has too much of a track record of raiding the National Archives for his own personal collection for it not to happen.
He's got a little heat on his name these days. He better stay out of the news and not buy too high profile of a historical document.
What's the heat?
He's in the Epstein emails?
Is he?
Yeah.
I know Carlisle is. I didn't know he was named by.
He wasn't emailing. He was named by someone who was sending an email.
Okay, that's fair. Wow, Tim and Cohen. Nice.
I know.
Two most likely, I feel like, entrants into that.
I would have been surprised if it was anyone other than those 2 as the first 2, but there probably will be more if we're being honest. Yeah. That's really funny that you're carrying over the same thing from last year because I too am carrying over the same thing from last year, and that is Pete Ricketts' campaign finance scandal. I will carry it over until it happens, even if it never happens, because the chance that this happens and it's not on our bingo card, and I don't get to take the world's longest home run trot about this, I just can't abide that. Like, I need the campaign finance scandal so bad. This is the textbook version of like the Darren Ravel, I'm sad for our country, but this is great content. Like, Pete Ricketts is doing campaign finance scandals. Frankly, I'm overjoyed. I'm sorry for the people of fucking Nebraska or whatever state it is. Is it Nebraska? Kansas.
Yeah.
Nebraska. Fuck. I had it right the first time. Should have stuck to my guns. I'm just really proud of myself for remembering that it's Pete and not Tom.
Yes, that was good. Important distinction there.
Bro, he's a full-on senator now. He's got big shit to deal with.
Yeah, he is. Well, his term ends next January, so.
Just got to start raising some capital.
Got to start raising some cash, buddy.
Enterprising young reporters out there, just take a couple looks into it. Bradford, you listening? Check it out. Okay, so those are our 2 carryovers. We're each going to do 11 more predictions to populate our 2026 bingo card. Would you like to go first?
Sure. Let's kick things off with an easy one because I'd like to hit some this year. I'm going to go the Padres. The Padres are tentatively sold in 2026. I think in the past we've named an MLB team gets sold, and so to make it easier on myself, I wanted to pick the team that is getting sold this year. They've been in the news a lot. They're on the market. They're off the market. I think it finally happens.
Any predictions on who they get sold to? This doesn't have to be part of the bingo card. I'm just curious for conversation fodder. By the way, I think the only other teams that are even remotely in contention for getting sold, obviously we could always get surprised, but I think the only other team that I would name that's in contention to be sold is the Nats.
Or the Twins as well.
Oh, true. Yeah, but they pulled that rug out. You know, they said that we're not going to do it.
I know.
That would be really funny if they sold the team this year after all of that.
It would be really funny. I think it's more likely to be the Padres just because there feels like there needs to be a sort of succession plan. And the management is a little opaque there right now. And I'm sure everyone involved would love to get that under order. As far as who it gets sold to, I don't know, who are famous people from San Diego? Who owns
Do they always
Petco?
have to be from San Diego? Who owns Petco? Wow. Great question. The private equity firm CVC Capital Partners, obviously.
So probably them then.
Probably, frankly. Of course, Petco is owned by private equity, but also the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board. Okay.
Really?
That's a good
So
one.
you mean we already have foreign investment in Major League Baseball and it's Canada of all places?
Wait, but not foreign ownership, though.
Right, I know. It's just
We have plenty of foreign investment. First of all, Uniqlo. It's a Japanese company. That's funny because we have a team in Canada, bro.
what about Joe Lacob?
No, see this neoliberal fantasy of Joe Lacob sweeping in and saving a California baseball team needs to be put to rest. How about Steve Ballmer after he's forced to sell the Clippers?
Ooh.
His fucking stadium down there is already halfway to San Diego. Like, let's just let him buy the Padres instead. Can you imagine the Padres with Steve Ballmer money competing with the Dodgers? Ooh, it's juicy. What a juicy proposition.
That is juicy. All right.
Okay.
You're up.
My first prediction. This actually relates to what we are just talking about, Steve Ballmer. My first prediction is that Pablo Torre, noted podcaster, will do an investigation that indicts or creates some speculation and at least one MLB owner for financial crimes.
Fuck yes.
Baseball is back. Culturally, that's going to be a theme of some of my predictions. That's sort of like the underlying umbrella theme. It's a little bit of an oxymoron. The umbrella goes over underlying umbrella theme. We're just going to roll with it. That's sort of like the theme of my predictions is that baseball is back. So it's going to touch all of these different pieces of culture. It's going to touch Pablo Torre's podcast. You know, it's no longer just basketball. We don't need the clicks from the NBA. We can get the clicks of MLB when Pablo is exposing scandals across leagues. Now, of course, Pablo has already talked about baseball related things on his podcast. One of his co-hosts is the former president of the Marlins. And so baseball comes up all the time. Drives me crazy whenever it does, whenever I hear his take, but that's neither here nor there. That's my prediction. I think some Pablo Torre finds out investigation will surface some sort of financial misdeed. It doesn't have to be a crime necessarily, but a scandal.
I like it. I mean, this feels like one of those things where it's only a matter of time. Given the types of stories he looks at and the clientele that makes up the baseball world, frankly, a little surprising we haven't gotten something yet. So the anti-baseball bias at major media companies continues on.
The New York Times foils us again.
God damn it. Every single time with these guys.
What's next for you?
All right, let's ramp up the heat a little bit. I think we get charges in the Tony Clark MLBPA federal investigation.
Okay.
Could be indictments. Could be something else. Other types of charges.
Mints. Breath mints. You know those little mints that they give you when you leave a diner?
Mm-hmm.
Those are awesome. Why can't I buy those in a store? I probably can. Why don't I know what they're called?
Are you like which ones? Like the red and white ones?
Yeah. Well, not the hard ones. You know, the like soft center ones.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They're like kind of, well, of course, Gemini is telling me that they're creamy pastel colored buttermints. Buttermints. That's the phrase I was looking for. Yes.
Never heard that phrase before.
Exactly. Because
they could be indictments. They could be buttermints.
My big diner is not letting us buy them to drive up the costs with our demand for buttermints across the shelves of America. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with what you're talking about. A very serious legal topic.
No, it's fine. I don't care remotely about the subject itself. I'm mostly interested in the wins. And you know, they don't open up at these investigations for nothing. We've been hearing a lot about it for like a year at this point. So I think we get charges this year. And it may not relate directly to the baseball season, but I know that I personally am gonna eat that shit up when it does eventually happen.
Well, now let me ask you this: does Kash Patel's email getting hacked make this more or less likely to happen, in your view? Because I know you were just waiting for the chance to weigh in on old Cash's emails.
Look, whom among us, right? Whom among us has not gotten their email address phished?
Is that why we've been getting all those emails from the Saudi Arabian prince to the Tipping Pitches email?
He's a good guy. I don't know what to tell you.
He's a nice guy. Tough to be making Saudi Arabian prince jokes these days.
Kinda, yeah. But I support you. just write it out. Go to yours. I'm gonna throw to you.
This podcast exists on the bleeding edge, you know. We're just trying to speak our mind, you know, freewheeling, you know, unvarnished, unfiltered podcast.
Bleeding edge. That's a good one.
What, to describe what we do here?
Yeah, well, isn't it like bleeding heart and cutting edge?
No, I think bleeding edge is a phrase. This is going into the long storied history of us mixing up phrases. Well, it's a novel by Thomas Pynchon. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Right. Mm-hmm. Your big pinch head.
He's just in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
No, it's a phrase. It's a phrase according to Oxford Languages. The very forefront of technological development. And how else would you describe the Tipping Pitches podcast?
You're right. All right.
Certainly not bleeding heart. We're not libs. You know, my heart bleeds for no one. Okay, my next prediction. Let's see. Where do I want to go? Speaking of not being libs, my next prediction is Hassan Piker will stream from an MLB game or event, and it will spawn a discourse cycle about whether we want these types of political streamers involved in our sport.
Okay, nice. Big prediction. Predicting not only the event but the discourse that follows. If Hassan streams at a baseball game, can we check this bingo card off?
I mean, almost certainly. Like there will be some
like there
guy
will be
on the
discourse
internet
anyway.
who's saying something.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to spice up. I'm trying to add a little salt pepper to my prediction for the sake of conversation. But yes. But I kind of don't think Hassan knows what baseball is. And if he does, and somehow this clip gets passed to him, first of all, Hassan, do you want to come on the podcast? Second of all, should we stream from Citi Field, the People's team? You willing to wade into that discourse this week, or no? You want to sort of sidestep that one?
It feels like deja vu. I think we did this last year, guys.
We did, yeah. It's kind of funny that like this is all being spawned not by our podcast, but by something that our podcast was talking about last week and will be intimately involved with over the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay, Hassan, stream. Baseball's back, bro. Stream from a game. Stop going to like the DNC and streaming from there. Your time would be better
this
spent
is where
streaming from the
politics
All-Star
is really happening.
No,
honestly.
I actually believe that. Yeah, I actually believe that.
All right, Hassan. Open invite.
Just talking about him like we know him. All right, what's next for you?
All right, I'm gonna take the inverse of something that we picked last year. Last year, we predicted a raw milk IL stint following some of Bryce Harper's incredible TikTok content. Unfortunately, that did not come to pass, so I'm going to take the opposite side of that bet and say we get a player who credits one of these new age wellness protocols for his success. Maybe he gets hot in June and he says, I've been putting my blood through the Bryce machine, right? I got hooked up with Dr. Shred. And he's got my
splendor ever. This feels like a lock, dude.
I know, but like I said, we need some of these this year. We need some layups. And you know, baseball players do not always talk about this sort of proprietary knowledge. So
Did you see
we
the
might
new
see
Bryce protein.
I saw you tweeted about it. Yeah,
we're going to be trying that on the taste test in August. Let me just
Okay.
tell you that much. You're going to be drinking a little protein shake before we rip off shots of Piazza vodka and whatever else we can come up with this year.
Do I have to wait until then? Because it almost might be better if I was like, I've been doing this for the last 6 weeks.
Well, if you want to get through a strength program, then we'll throw that whole idea out. We could make that the top priority if that's what you're willing to talk about. Hell yeah. This is a good one. Player credits new age wellness protocol with his success. I look forward to you trying to fit this on the bingo card.
Mm-hmm.
What phrasing you use. All right, since we're doing easy ones, not that I think this is going to be easy, but it's quick and easy to talk about. I think that this is the year that the Wilpons will sell their stake in SNY. I think they will sell high as one of the last great successful RSNs. Now, Mets fans listening to this are likely screaming, the Wilpons will never do that because they want to remain associated. They want to have some say in something to be close to the action. But I think part of Steve Cohen's world domination plan when it comes to the Mets is owning the cable station outright, functionally owning, if not literally owning, the land on which Citi Field is built, the parking lots surrounding Citi Field, so that he can execute his casino vision, and turning the Mets into like a high expense, high revenue, high profit organization like the Dodgers. Like, they spend a lot, but they also make a lot because they spend that money. So I don't know, maybe it's a little early to pull the trigger on a prediction like this, but the Wilpons will sell their stake in SNY.
I like it. Also, a little bit of manifesting that we can do to be rid of them once and for all.
I kind of like having them in my life still, you know?
Yeah.
It reminds me of how things used to be. How far I've come.
Passing an old picture on the wall and sort of pausing to just place your hand on it. How I've missed you, my Wilpons.
You know, I'm going to be 30 in 2 days. You know, it's like remembering your middle school ex. It's like, you know, we had some good times. We had some bad times.
Right. In the moment, it felt very intense. It felt like this is the entire world. Right.
And now with the softening of time.
Rose tinted glasses. Yeah. I hear that.
Thank you. Okay. You're up.
I think this year we get a short list of expansion locations for Major League Baseball.
Like an official short list.
These are the cities that we are looking at, which I don't think is out there yet. I know that there are some obvious leading contenders, places like Nashville and Portland.
Wait, you're forgetting one. Topeka, Kansas. Where will be the official radio station of Major League Baseball's new expansion franchise.
We got to get in on the ground floor there.
We're already there on the ground. We got to let them build on top of what we already brought to Topeka.
I mean, I'm of two minds of this one, because on the one hand, Rob wants this, at least a plan in place by the time he retires in 2029. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there are some other big things that Major League Baseball is working through this season, I think you could say. So how much do they want to distract from, say, a looming labor fight, with also trying to add 2 more teams into the picture?
We don't have enough money to do anything but this salary cap, but also $2 billion expansion fees. Mm-hmm. Look how many people want to buy into the league. Yeah, that's tough. That's a sort of a tough narrative to combat.
Tough position to be in. This is something that could, it might not come until next year, but I'm putting my stake in the ground. They got to get the ball rolling on this.
You're putting your stake into the ground. Okay. Yeah. Planting a flag. Planting a stake.
No.
You're camping? No. We're camping now.
Well, I'm growing, right? I'm actually, it's more horticulture. So that I put the stake in the ground so that the idea can then, the vines of the idea can grow up around the stake that I have put there and sort of hold it in place.
Oh, this is
almost like a
gardening
tomato plant.
Tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
I love a tomato plant. I didn't know you were such a gardener.
It's got to start somewhere.
Are you doing that out on your little balcony situation?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually do have a tomato plant out there.
Really? How's it doing?
I mean, I haven't touched it for like 2 or 3 years, so I don't know.
Okay,
I can go
not so hot.
Go check
probably.
on it, you know.
You should talk to my mom. She grows great tomatoes.
Does she?
Yeah. She's got the green thumb, that woman. Me, on the other hand, it's a little more spotty. I don't kill everything I touch, but I definitely don't make them all thrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got a nice little plant that our friends gave us that's growing. You know, the ones with the long vines. You know, that kind of plant that you have in an apartment.
Probably,
I can't remember the name of them. I'm seeing how long I can keep this gardening bit going, knowing that we're burying Jeff Passan later and later the longer I do it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Short list of MLB expansion locations. I like it. I'd like to know. Someone most recently asked me, is there going to be an MLB team in Nashville? And I had to be like, I'm not sure, but it felt like there was going to be 4 years ago, but now I don't really know.
Yep.
All right. Okay. I got a good one for you.
All right, great.
I think an MLB team will travel via train for an away game for a route that they would not normally take a train. Like they would normally fly because of oil shortages.
MLB team forced to travel by train due to upheaval in the global oil markets. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm going to have fun fitting that one onto the bingo card.
Whatever you got to do, people understand the spirit of it. You know, it's not about the letter of it. It's about the spirit of it. We're laughing, but like, this feels not that unlikely, but also a serious red flag if this happens. Like if the MLB team can't even charter their own jet to like Kansas City, we're in trouble, dudes.
I mean, if that happens, we were cooked 6 months ago, you know?
And like, we're not doing this podcast anymore probably because we don't have internet service. I don't really know.
So I suppose I'm not hoping that this one hits necessarily, although it would be an insane called shot if it did.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we've predicted in the past that games would get postponed or suspended because of climate disasters or climate protesters or other things related to political activism. This is not directly that, but certainly part of the same social forces.
I'm pretty sure it was, I think on last year's bingo card, we called out tariffs, right? Didn't we say that an owner was going to invoke tariffs as like a reason to not spend?
Let's see, just scrolling through here. We got MLB partners with Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. Can't believe that one didn't hit. Game delayed because of airplane issues. So I really just love to talk about travel on this
really
podcast.
Do, yeah.
Owner says woke in a press conference. That didn't happen, unfortunately. Foreign substance scandal involving Zin. I don't even know what I was talking about there. I don't see tariffs on here.
Maybe that was just a mental bingo card in my mind.
Right, that was the tariffs thing. Liberation Day was right around the beginning of the season, I think.
Yeah, it's top of mind for all of us.
You got any Strata Hormuz takes that you want to get off your chest?
I don't. I don't even have a joke to say around that. There's nothing I can do.
All right, what's your next thing?
All right, try this on for size. Bruce Meyer.
To be clear, the guy who's running the MLBPA, not the owner of the Marlins.
Not the owner of the Marlins. Although potentially. I suppose actually this is because we didn't get a prestige profile of the owner of the Marlins. Last year, I think we get one of Bruce Meyer. This year, the man at the reins of the MLBPA. Someone is going to write 10,000 words on how he's drawing from the legacy of Marvin Miller. And
I actually don't think this is going to happen.
You don't think anyone cares nearly enough about Bruce Meyer to write a long form article about him?
How much are we allowed to influence this? Like, can we say to Jeff later on in the episode, like you got to write a 10,000 word profile of Bruce Meyer?
I think it's fine. I mean, this is like, I think that we're allowed to do this. We have the power. We have the influence. We've never made a rule that says we can't influence outcomes of the bingo card itself.
Yeah, we could have baited Steve Cohen into donating to Jessica Ramos or something.
Mm-hmm. Look, I might be working on my own profile right now that I'm pitching.
I hope you are.
I'm pitching to outlets.
Exclusive access to Bruce Meyer. So, Bruce, what are you going to prioritize? Well, probably not getting the salary cap. Sounds good. Thanks,
good.
Bruce.
You sound like Marvin Miller to me.
Hell yeah. This is good. What outlets do you think it might land in? We thinking like New York Times Magazine? Are we thinking like The Atlantic?
Let's see. Where's he?
Forbes.
Where's he from?
Oh.
He grew up on Long Island. Newsday.
Oh, let's go. Long Island's Bruce Meyer? I can't believe I didn't know that. What town does it say? What town?
It doesn't say. I can look a
My
little.
My prediction? Syosset.
So you're very well versed with the media landscape out there.
I just know the towns. Wow, he's Long Island's Bruce Meyer, and we could have been making that joke for months, and now we just have to start from here.
Yeah, it's okay. Every season needs its new bits.
All right, speaking of another guy from New York, my next prediction is Rob Manfred. I don't even know. I can't even say it. It's so straight face. This is not going to happen. But Rob Manfred will confirm, Alex, that he was in attendance at Woodstock 99. I don't know if you saw this, but former A, Mason Miller, had his first walkout as closer of the San Diego Padres. He was not their closer last season. He was the setup guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he joined the team late after the trade deadline. And he walked out to Korn, one of the famous performers at Woodstock 99. And it made me wonder, potentially could Mason Miller and his walkout being the new trumpets be the thing that sort of gets the ball rolling on a reappraisal of Woodstock 99 and white male rage?
Yeah.
And then will it grow to such a fever pitch that Rob Manfred has no choice but to get on the dais and talk about how hard it was for him to see his beloved hometown, Rome, New York, go through what they went through when Woodstock 99 ravaged their town?
I feel like it would behoove us to point out that Rob Manfred was 41 years old when Woodstock 99 happened.
What,
So I
you
just
can't be
wanna lay
mad
the
at
groundwork.
41?
No. Some of us are just coming
You
into
can't
our
like
own.
Bush at 41, Alex.
Look, if this happens, it will constitute the need for an emergency podcast.
I love to burn one of my bingo slots on just a joke. Like this is just a joke that I do. This
Right.
has no basis in reality whatsoever. Okay, what's next?
Poly market scandal.
Oh, fuck.
That's
I had that.
That's on yours?
Also, God damn it.
Oh, sorry.
Now I got to come up with another one.
I know.
I
mean,
have poly market insider trading scandal is what I
Okay.
wrote.
All right. Yeah. That almost feels redundant. Like that's a scandal on the insider trading platform, right? Like we haven't even talked about this as a topic on the podcast yet. I don't even really think we would say anything that folks would not expect us to say, but
Classic tipping pitches.
We stick to our talking points handed down to us from the fans union. This just feels too easy.
And the Dems, the national Dems.
I think the biggest
That
question,
$8,000 per episode check isn't going to clear itself.
I think the biggest question is going to be, do we find out about this scandal this year? Or like the betting, the Class A scandal, will it take a couple years for us to really uncover what happened? I think this one will move much quicker. I think they'll have to shut down some prediction market in the middle of the year.
I agree, actually. But I sort of feel like when I was thinking about this, I was envisioning, so all of not all of, but a lot of the insider trading that's going on Kalshi and Poly Market are just administrative things that politicians or people associated with politics know about already. And so when thinking about that for the purposes of Major League Baseball and their partnership, there's not going to be a scandal. There likely will not be a scandal about prop bets, something that happened in a game, because that was already on the table for DraftKings and FanDuel. My prediction is this will be a scandal involving someone knowing ahead of time that a manager is going to be fired, and they place a lot of money on it as this guy is the first manager fired or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next day that guy gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
But since we know about that so quickly in real time, someone will screenshot that and say, $20,000 was just placed on Tony Vitello getting fired. Or on Tony Vitello as the next Vanderbilt coach or something for him to go back to college baseball or something.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he came from Tennessee, not Vanderbilt, but you know the point. Was it
That's
Tennessee?
that's also I don't know or really care. That being said, that's a great prediction in of itself right there. Honestly, he's back in college before the end of the year.
It'll be something like that, which is like, it's not that sexy really, but that's gonna be how it's gonna play out in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
Alex Rodriguez will leave Fox and return to ESPN.
Whoa.
Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter are not getting along, from my view. A-Rod is currently the highest paid analyst, or at least he was at the time of his contract. I don't know if they're paying Jeter more on that panel. And frankly, like, they got too many cooks in the kitchen over there, and his deal is up in 2026. And ESPN seems to have reinvested in Major League Baseball and their broadcast coverage of it. I have no insider information on this from the guest that's coming up in about 30 minutes time, but that's my prediction. A-Rod leaves Fox, returns to ESPN, and rumors are abound that him and Jeter just can't share a set.
This is a great call.
Thank you. I've thought long and hard about these.
I can tell.
Now I'm completely thrown off. That Polymarket insider trading scandal is off the board for me, and I got to come up with something on the fly here.
I know. I'm sorry about that. This is why we usually coordinate before we do these.
Whatever, it's fine.
That's good. We need at least one A-Rod square in here. I thought about penciling him in to purchase an MLB team, but that just the Timberwolves purchase feels too fresh for him to already be making a foray into another sports league. So I think this is the way to go.
I don't think he has the cash.
I don't think so either. I'm not even sure he has the cash for the Timberwolves deal.
That was kind of the whole thing. He didn't have the cash.
I
He had to
know.
bring in Mark Laurie, who I don't understand why he pronounces his name like that. But anyway, okay. You're up. A-Rod, by the way, I just have to say this. It's becoming less and less fun to make jokes about A-Rod because he's just becoming more and more kind of like detestable of a figure.
Yeah.
I mean, he always kind of was. Like, we've known that he's been conservative. Like, we've known that he's been basically a Republican, like a normie Republican for a while now. And he has landlord politics is how I would describe it most effectively. We've known this for a long time on and off tipping pitches. I just think like the more times he's seen like hanging out with Trump and Trump administration officials, I'm just like, not that funny anymore.
Right.
So I just want to say, like, we're aware of that here at Tipping Pitches. We know that we've built a sort of the longest running bit in the show's history around this one guy who's like revealing himself to be more and more reprehensible. We built the bit knowing that, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But maybe fewer A-Rod jokes this year. We'll see.
You can only speak for yourself.
Judge wouldn't have put together the A-Rod rules to life like this offseason.
Look, we take the content we're given to us. We're just stenographers, you know? We can't control what other folks are saying.
We're just stenographers. Well
It'll show
said.
takes, except for the handful we're running through right now, including I predict that we violate a banned topic at some point this season. Now, maybe this is the equivalent of putting a market on Polymarket that I have direct knowledge and influence over. But I'm going to forget that I included this on the bingo card like by next week anyway. So there doesn't really feel like a conflict of interest there.
This is a real snake eating its own tail moment.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Which banned topic do you think we're going to violate? Do you remember what the banned topics were?
I think I remember what mine were.
Okay,
probably saying if I had to guess.
well, you just said it, dude.
Well, I thought this was like wait, we're pausing the rules. Like I thought that was timeout.
I'll let it slide.
Okay. All right.
To remind folks of the banned topics from last week, and by folks, I mean Alex Basley and Bobby Wagner, we've rebanned parlays and discussion of Billy Joel. I banned discussion of White House visits, umpire accuracy, or engagement bait concessions. And you banned usage of the phrase small market, the phrase work stoppage or lockout without specifying management did it. I think it's going to be relevant for our conversation with Jeff Passan. And you banned abundance.
Yeah.
Interesting. How you don't believe in cutting red tape and building more housing.
Nope. Keep the Elizabeth Street garden alive. That was a joke for you and like 3 New York listeners, but you're watching the Mets game, so it's fine.
Sorry, they just gave up a home run. Sorry, keep the Elizabeth Street garden alive was funny. Did you know that in my journalism 201 class, you remember journalism 201, the beat,
Yeah.
where we had to do it was like a small little seminar where we had to cover a neighborhood in New York City.
I remember this.
My neighborhood was Little Italy, of course.
Yeah.
And I did have to write stories about the Elizabeth Street Garden in fucking 2015, bro. 2015. 11 years later, we got Big Bob De Niro, who's like, we just got to keep the Elizabeth Street Garden going. And so our mom down, he's like, cry more, Lib. You know? Like, I never would have thought that would be taking up so much oxygen in my adult life when I met the lady who founded the Save the Elizabeth Street Garden group.
I know. That's
For
where
a
you cut your
coffee.
teeth. You've been on this beat for a decade.
Literally, I have voice notes of me interviewing this lady over the hottest coffee I've ever drank in my life. I burned the shit out of my tongue within the first 30 seconds of the interview. What a time to be alive. Okay, good one. Good one. Nice work. All right, I got one for you. I believe that we are going to have an umpire who gets caught on a hot mic, much like Alec Boehm, saying something about how much he hates his job or his life during an ABS review. Like, bro, can you imagine if all of a sudden from one year to the next, your job suddenly constituted the constant ability to be called out for whether or not you did that last thing correctly?
I would have this moment. I would have this hot mic.
That's what I'm
moment.
saying.
Yeah. Well, and
Far
we're
be it
already,
for me to be like, I feel bad for CB Buckner, but
right. Well, that's what I was just about to say. Is like we're already seeing some umpires chafing at teams using the challenge system. Sometimes overzealously, maybe, but sometimes maybe commensurate with the talent level of the umpire who's umping the game.
I balked at the idea of that. Here's what I thought about writing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about writing that we were going to get a full-on wildcat strike because umpires were so embarrassed by the ABS. But I was like, that's probably not going to happen. Let me stop a couple feet short of that and predict that there's going to be an umpire who's just like, and he doesn't have to say like I hate my life or whatever. Just like expressing some sort of deeply human frustration at the event.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it has to be a hot mic. Like, I don't think that we can just get a guy like rolling his eyes. I don't think that would cross this off the bingo card. I think it has to be like he says something aloud that he did not think was going to get caught.
Mm-hmm. Good chance of this one, honestly.
I think so too.
Like, it's not crazy.
Thank you. All right, what do you got?
I think we see the groundbreaking of Steve Cohen's casino met with protesters here in 2026. I think there's a contingent of folks. Whenever that groundbreaking happens, I think we're in the like pre-groundbreaking stage. The like planning phase, I guess. I don't know. How does construction work? They're doing renderings at this point, probably.
Yeah, probably. I can't wait to get those casino renderings.
Oh
It's
my
gonna be a
God.
huge moment for the podcast.
Do we get them this year? Is that the prediction maybe that we get renderings of Steve Cohen's casino?
It's up to you. You're the one making the prediction.
I kind of like that one more. Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
think
right,
we
great.
yeah. See, this is so good. This is why we work so well together.
It's written in pencil, not pen.
Metropolitan Park renderings drop. I suppose the only thing holding this back is like we do have some renderings from this already, but you know how it goes with these folks. They release new renderings like they're going out of style.
We got millions of dollars in the bank and we need something to spend it on, boys. Time to call up
Literally.
the architects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's my prediction.
Should we do an emergency renderings 2.0 pod when that happens?
Maybe. Depends on, I guess, what the growth of the trees looks like in them.
Or the
How
amount
much-
of glass?
The amount of glass. Yeah.
Okay, I like this one. Do we, when Steve Cohen's casino opens, do we like have to go? We probably do, right? Like we
Yes.
probably do like live from Steve Cohen's casino. It's tipping pitches.
Mhm.
Like, can we like rent out a room or like a conference room and do a pod in there?
What if
should-
we make our new studio be at Metropolitan Park?
We should start doing more and more elaborate real world bits that barely even convey for the purposes of the podcast because it's not on video. Like, I think
agree.
that's actually really funny.
I
We
agree.
spend thousands of dollars on things like the Team Italy. By the way, I tried,
You did
it went
try.
for like 15,000.
Wow,
All right,
that
5,000
oh my
was
God.
a loser bet. I think that's a good idea. I think we should spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing stuff like renting out a room at Steve Cohen's casino.
that
to
no
do
one
a
will
podcast.
auditorily be able to tell the difference in.
Yeah. No, they will be able to tell. It'll just sound way worse. Okay.
All right.
My next. Speaking of the Mets, I'm going back to Queens. Katya Lindor will have to make an Instagram post defending her husband Francisco from swirling rumors about his chemistry or lack thereof with Juan Soto.
Good
This one's
one.
a little wordy, going to be tough for you to fit on the,
Little
on the
wordy,
bingo card, but shorten it
topical.
however you need. This is a thing now, officially. By the way, this is in another chapter in the Yankees' 21st century of humiliation. They can't even do New York teammate rivalries the best anymore.
I know.
Now we got Lindor and Soto who secretly hate each other, just like A-Rod and Jeter did back in the day. There was like Zapruder film level analysis of their handshake in the opening day handshake line as they were announcing the lineup. Mendoza continues to just put them back to back. So they're always in situations where they should be talking / high-fiving / handshaking, but they don't. And there was some reportage out of the Mets beat last year. Reportage. I don't know. You love French. That they didn't get along.
I hate French food.
Great.
Forget
I don't
it.
get that at all. You know how many things I saw that were cooler than the Eiffel Tower in Tokyo? About 3 dozen.
I wasn't talking about their architecture. I'm talking
Well,
about their
I'm
food.
bringing back that same conversation.
Oh,
You were
I
like,
see.
their
Okay,
food
all
sucks.
right.
And I was like, no, actually,
Their architecture.
No, but their
We're like, well,
architecture
agree
is
to-
good. It's that the Eiffel Tower is overrated, dude. Anyway, Soto and Lindor, I think, don't really like each other very much. I don't think that they really hate each other. I just think that they don't really get along. You know, like when you're at work and you're like, that person is fine. They're
Yeah.
getting a lot of attention, but I don't really see why. But they're fine. But they're not one of my guys.
Yeah.
Or gals.
Yeah.
It's like that. But there's millions of people who are watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you in the Lindor camp or the Soto camp? How are you caucusing?
I'm in the Lindor camp, I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. But I have nothing against Juan Soto. There are factions, though. The team is starting to develop factions, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Katya Lindor, and by the way, like a subtweet style post, like that counts too. She doesn't have to say like, here's my statement on my husband and Juan Soto. Like, I think anything that can be read into as about that
Yeah.
counts for the purposes of the bingo card.
All right. Well, you got to be locked in on her feed then.
No, I think someone's going to probably surface that for me.
Okay. Should we get her on?
I would love to. She
Okay.
spoke at Zoran's fucking inauguration.
I know.
Since Zoran won't actually come on the podcast, maybe we should just get the next best thing, Katya Lindor.
All right. My next bingo pick. I think we get an ABS related ejection this year.
Okay.
It feels, I don't know if it'll be a manager. I don't know if it'll be a player. I don't know. Maybe it'll be another umpire. Can umpires eject each other? I don't know. This could be the year we find out.
That's not solidarity.
I don't know. New process. We're still working out the kinks in it. Whether it's something that like it takes too long and the manager gets frustrated, or
Working out the kinks. How did that become the dominant phrase for what we do when we need to smooth things over? Just like a lot of people had to use hoses? Like, where did that, like, did hoses used to be more dominant in our culture?
what do the hoses have to do with it?
Are you being for real right now?
Yeah,
Explain to me what you think the phrase working out the kinks means.
I don't know. I just hear a lot of other people say it.
I suppose it could be about like your neck, like
That's
a
kind
muscle
of what
kink.
that is what I think. I think of like I got like.
I was
kink in
thinking
my
of
back.
hoses. Like the hose is kinked so the water is not flowing through it anymore. And you got to work the kink out of the hose to let the water start flowing again. That's what I think of when I think of we got to work out the kinks to make this situation smoother. Related, but not the same to sanding down the edges.
True, in that it's an action you are taking on something else.
Ironing out the wrinkles. No one would ever say that. You would drop that one. People would be like, nah, what is that? We're not ironing out the wrinkles. We're working out the kinks.
True. You would say, I think ironing out the kinks.
That's just absurd. You take an iron
not.
to a hose, you're going to have a problem. I don't even know if I would have an iron and a hose in the same situation. The iron's inside. Anyway, ABS. I can tell you're reading the etymology of the phrase working out the kinks.
Well, I'm trying to figure out kink.
Classic.
When we're
a couple
on here trying to
guys on the
figure out
podcast
what a
trying
kink
to figure
is.
out kink. While you're trying to figure out kink, do you want to weigh in on whether it should be at Pride?
A bend or a twist that comes from a nautical term for twist in a rope, I suppose.
Twist in a rope. See, that's like a hose.
It is like a hose, yeah.
All right, anyway, ABS.
A kink belongs here on tipping pitches. That's where it belongs.
That's right. That's exactly right. And our kink is talking about baseball. Just talking baseball. We're just talking baseball.
Less and less by the moment. ABS ejection.
Perfect.
Happens.
Okay. My next. I think there will be a report, an article, some sort of news breaking that a Major League Baseball team has spent days, weeks, maybe perhaps months working off of incorrect data because they implemented an AI system into their internal data tracking software. Like they brought Claude Copilot along and it was telling them the wrong data for like a long period of time.
All right. So MLB team AI data mishap.
Yep. Perfect. What a beautiful phrase. Reminds me a little bit of Pete Ricketts' campaign finance scandal. None of any of those words are in the Bible.
This is good.
Thank you.
I guess my sidebar prediction here is that we get a
sidebar prediction, a little bonus.
A little bonus prediction. We
Little
get a
freebie for you at home.
maybe not a full pop of the AI bubble, but a partial pop. More like letting air out of a balloon, and it impacts a baseball team.
How does this relate to unkinking the hose? We're letting the air going back in the hose, or is it?
Well, I would say that we are.
And by the way, while you're thinking about the answer to that question,
yeah,
I love the sound difference, just so that listeners know what to look for between the partial pop and the full pop. So if you could do a little sound effect work for me.
I'm not so sure about that one.
All right, fine.
It's more of like it's like, well, you have like,
nice.
Right, that would be a pop.
Oh, that's like, just the pop. All right, that's subtle.
It's
more subtle
right?
than I was expecting. And how's the partial pop?
Well, I think that one's more of like a.
Oh, it's leaking.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do you think?
And where does this fall on the scale? Like, how close is it to boing?
Oh my God! If you tuned in for Jeff Passan, just wait. We're getting there.
We're gonna get really serious with Jeff, actually. Okay, that was a freebie prediction. So now it's still with you for your next prediction.
Yes, it is. How many more do we need?
We got 2 more.
Each.
Yes. I know you're like, somehow this is still going, but yes, 2 more each. And I actually think we've been doing a good job keeping on time. We don't typically have one of the biggest national baseball reporters slotted right after this episode. It's usually the whole episode.
I think an MLB team is forced to switch out their jersey patch sponsor.
Ooh, awesome prediction.
It has happened before. So this would not be unprecedented.
This would be huge for the podcast.
But it would be huge for the podcast. Part of this is me just really wanting this to happen.
Just like me with Manfred and Woodstock 99.
Exactly. But like I see like billboards for foundation building materials driving around New York.
Yeah. Going over the Kojuko Bridge. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I know. That billboard is really important to me because it's right next to like a really tall golden arches sign. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. This is what being American is all about.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be clear, I bring that up because I think FBM, as a result of that, is not one of the candidates for being lost. Clearly, they're doing well enough to put billboards up around New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But a smaller fish, maybe
York, potentially.
York, that would be an awesome one.
They burn bright but not long, Alex.
Much like their products, I guess.
Someone's got to take us to Mars. And when we get there, we better be able to bring our nuclear arsenal with us. All right. NASA's not going to build that themselves. We need York. Okay. Anything else to say about any of the Jersey Patch sponsors?
No. I'm gonna leave that one open.
Okay. My final two predictions both center around movies. They are baseball related, but they are centered around movies. My first of those two is that I believe they will announce the reboot of a classic baseball film with a new cast for the modern era. This is everywhere now. We're just recasting everything and remaking all of the old stuff. It's not just Harry Potter, but I see people suggesting that we do it with Lord of the Rings for some reason. You know, the stuff is just getting rebooted all the time. Used to be that sports movies, especially from the 70s and 80s, would get rebooted for the 21st century because it was like an easy cash grab. That became less of a reliable proposition, especially for baseball when we stopped making baseball movies.
Mm-hmm.
As I said earlier, I think baseball is ascending back towards cultural dominance. And I believe that this will be an indicator of that. That like, we love baseball now. Let's put Ohtani in Bad News Bears.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the coach in Bad News Bears. I don't know.
Yeah. Remake
Something
of
like
The
this.
Naked Gun at Dodger Stadium?
Well, didn't they already remake The Naked Gun? So like you're talking
I
about
guess
like
they
a
literally
Naked
just
Gun
did
remake
That's
sequel.
Right, you're right.
I'm open to whatever it is.
Okay.
We got to get Uniqlo Field in there somehow. Reboot of a classic baseball film gets announced. That's my prediction.
That's great. I love it. I'm on board.
Okay, what is your 12th and final prediction?
My 12th and final one. I love that we sort of pivoted to pop culture and media with our final picks because I think
Pop culture, sports, tech. What is this, The Ringer?
I think we get a Major League Baseball player who drops a new professionally recorded and produced song this year.
Let's go.
Baseball players love making music.
What genre? Or as Alex Trebek, RIP, would say, what genre?
If history tells us anything, I think picking something in the realm of reggaeton is not a bad idea.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going for more of like we're going to get a white rapper song.
Oh. It's possible.
What? The 90s are back, dude. We
Yes,
gotta bring
Dylan
back white.
Cease out there on a track, you know?
Yo, Dylan Cease's look is crazy this year.
It's wild.
He's on his Daniel Day-Lewis shit.
Mm-hmm.
He has been for a little while, but it's even more so this year.
It's crazy. What's crazy is that he's like incredibly attractive too.
I know. He's just like, I'm just going to try some
rocking
shit.
with it.
Yeah. What a weird guy.
That's what I think. I think a new song, it has to be a new song that drops.
Now, does a remix count or no? Just asking for clarity's sake.
I'm gonna say yes. If an MLB player hops on a remix of a song, I think that counts.
Okay. This is definitely going to happen.
I know.
Bad Bunny was trying to pay for the Puerto Rico players to play the WBC. Like someone is going to appear somewhere on some sort of song.
Like
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is a good one. I like this one. Okay. Well, my 12th and final one was Polymarket Insider Trading Scandal.
Mm-hmm.
I will replace that instead with An MLB player will have a secret letterboxd account exposed. This has become the new move for celebrities to have a fake secret letterboxd account that makes them seem more like normal people. I think this was made famous by Charlie XCX. And then since then, a few celebrities have done it, including Jack Harlow, your favorite white rapper, who, by the way, his letterbox was exposed and he follows like 40 people. And guess who's one of them?
Sean Fennessy.
No, me, dummy. Well, yes, Sean is one of them too, but I'm also me, followed by Jack Harlow on Letterboxd.
All right. So another,
there's a possibility. Wait, by the way, there's a possibility.
Second major league player letterboxed hits the podcast.
There's a possibility that Jack Harlow has read the story that I put in my review of There Will Be Blood about us going to the Uffizi and taking a selfie with Bertha Venus. Bet you didn't think that was going to be part of the podcast before Jeff Passan even showed up.
No, I think that's the free space on our bingo card.
Ooh, such a strange life that we've made for ourselves. It's just a strange life.
So we got Colt Keith last summer, right? So you think?
Yeah, but it wasn't a letterboxd account though. Like it was like an IMDb list.
Yeah, I think the letterboxd did come out. I think we did come across the letterbox, and it was a lot of just like 5 stars across the board.
Yeah, I think this will happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it's equally as interesting as Colt Keith. We got like 40 minutes out of that Colt Keith thing.
We really did. That was great. Do you have any predictions on who it might be?
Not to just retread the same ground, but Dylan Cease did have some really good movie takes on the podcast this offseason.
Okay.
A friend of mine was sending them to me being like, have you seen this? This is extremely Ucore. No, I don't know.
Strider,
Johan Rojas, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's just the first name that came to
Sure,
mind.
yeah.
It's not going to be someone on the Mets. I saw the Mets letterbox top 4, and they were all like, Avengers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Captain America. Like, guys, come on. You're constantly on planes and in hotels. You have nothing but time to watch movies.
Well.
Like, can we bust out some fucking Michael Mann or something?
I know.
All right, that could be a good side hustle for us. Curating movie lists for MLB players' road
Francisco,
trips.
you know what you and the boys would love? You know what would really bring you and Juan together?
Mm-hmm. Heat.
Is heat, right?
Okay. Do you want to speed run through all of our predictions just so that people have them? And then we'll bring on Jeff?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I don't remember what order I said mine in, so I'm just going to go in the order that I wrote them in. Katia Lindor will have to make an Instagram post defending Francisco amid swirling rumors about his chemistry with Juan Soto. Pete Ricketts' campaign finance scandal. Hassan Piker streams from an MLB game and starts a discourse cycle. Pablo Torre will do an investigation that indicts an MLB owner in financial crimes. Rob Manfred will confirm that he did attend Woodstock 99. The Wilpons will sell their stake in Sports New York. And Ump is going to get caught on a hot mic saying something about how much he hates his job and or his life. A report will surface that an MLB team has been working off incorrect data because of an AI agent. An MLB team will take a train to one of their games because of oil shortages. A-Rod will leave Fox and return to ESPN. An MLB player will have a secret letterbox account exposed, and there will be a reboot of a classic baseball film that gets announced. All in 2026.
Hell yeah. I love it. Over on my side of the board, David Rubenstein, new historical document. The Padres get sold. We get federal indictments in the MLBPA investigation. We have a player crediting a sort of new age wellness protocol for a hot streak.
And what's wrong with that?
I don't, yeah. We finally get a short list of MLB expansion locations. Bruce Meyer, Prestige Profile. waiting
Just
with
a
bated
phrase
breath.
that just doesn't mean anything anywhere but this podcast. So like prestige profile, like glossy magazine profile. Like, what if you just made that up?
Polymarket scandal. Duh. One of us violates a banned topic. Duh. Metropolitan Park new renderings drop. I can feel it in my bones. An ABS related ejection. An MLB team has to swap out a jersey patch sponsor, and a Major League Baseball player drops or appears on a new song or remix. And I don't know. I don't know what the center of the bingo card is like. The owners lock the players out. I think
That's pretty good. I like that.
I don't know.
Yes.
I think that's it. And just to be clear, that is the owners locking out players.
Nice segue. It's time to go talk to Jeff Passan about that exact thing. Okay, we are delighted to be joined by ESPN. I probably should have asked you what the official title is. Is it like senior writer? What's the title, Jeff? What's your title? Please introduce yourself on our podcast.
I hate titles. There's like chief baseball officer. I mean, what the hell is that? No, the official title is senior MLB insider.
Okay, senior MLB insider. How could I forget that you're inside? You know, like we're over here outside podcasting from the streets, yelling up, and you're inside. In the communist future that we're building on this podcast appearance, there will be no titles, you know, so we're just going to eliminate them right off.
I'm fully on board with that. Bobby's a comrade, Alex is a comrade, Jeff's a comrade. That's the way it goes.
So Jeff, you wrote a column a few weeks back about the favorite topic of the Tipping Pitches podcast, Major League Baseball Players Association and collective bargaining, which is obviously going to be important as we head to the expiration of this year's CBA. You wrote it alongside the scandalous news that came out about Tony Clark resigning. And I think the thesis of the column was basically that this is a real opportunity to have a level set, to have the Players Association come together and really chart a course for the best possible outcomes for collective bargaining heading into the 2027 season, the 2026 off season. Now, I think that Alex and I here on this podcast generally agree with that idea that we would like to have a path that does not infringe upon the 2027 season. But I had some notes, and we're here to talk about some of those notes. We're here to talk about some of those small disagreements. But before I kind of levy the big piece of, you know, whose responsibility is it to come with creative solutions and chart the right direction for the course of the game, am I getting that right? Is that kind of like the thesis as to why you wanted to write this article at that time?
Yeah, and it's interesting because even in the time since the World Baseball Classic has happened, and it's only to me reinforced this idea that baseball cannot have a work stoppage that loses games, because I just think there's too much momentum, behind them, and too much of a giant wall that's waiting there to stop that momentum in front of them. And we're going to mete out responsibility on this podcast, I imagine. But I just want to start with this. I think everyone's responsible here, because I think everyone has a lot to gain and a lot to lose. And I'm not going to be the person who sits here and says that MLB and the players need to be partners. I don't like that word. I don't like the word partners when you're talking about management and labor, because I feel like it's already a relationship that begins with imbalance. But I think the way that we need to look at this is individually, each side, they should have, if not the same path to get there, they should have the same end goals in mind, which is a game that's thriving. And it is right now. And there's something waiting right there. It's like a poison pill at the end of the road. And are they going to take it? Or are they actually going to look at what's best for everybody involved and realize that no games being missed is what ultimately, I think, gets everyone in the best place?
To your point, like baseball does feel like it's in a really good place culturally, right? I mean, like, we have been loath to sort of admit or even give air to the idea of, like, is baseball dead? You know, the conversation we have every single year is like, is baseball finally dying? And the answer is like, is no, obviously.
It's funny because like we've been taking a victory lap that baseball is quote unquote back, but also we were having our cake and eating it too by never refusing to admit that it ever went anywhere too. We were like,
Right.
You guys are wrong, and also we're right again. You know, like it never went anywhere.
Listen, we love the game. The three of us, honestly, anyone who listens to this podcast loves the game. You kind of have to get like that niche into the baseball universe. But I think if we look at it writ large, there were actually some real legitimate problems. And I think a lot of those problems have been addressed and solved. I think the pitch clock did absolute wonders. I think ABS is off to a really good, like, I try not to judge too much based on my conversations with like friends outside of the game. Like I have a group of childhood friends. I've been in a fantasy baseball league with them legitimately since before you guys were born. Been in this league since 1991. And they're like, I don't form all of my opinions based on what they're telling me, but they're kind of a good canary in the coal mine for me where the game is right now. And just got a text on the group chat earlier today, and it was, I love ABS more than Saturdays at the draft. And trust me, like, for this guy to say that, like, he looks forward to the draft more than anything in the world. And so you've got the pitch clock, you've got ABS, you've got Ohtani, and I don't think anyone can understate the impact that Shohei Ohtani has had on all of this. I can't like firmly connect the dots. I haven't sat down long enough and really thought it through as to how specifically he's doing it. But I think all of the conversation we had about baseball lacking stars, he's taken care of that almost single-handedly and has helped internationalize the game. And as the WBC has shown, internationalization of the game, I think, has put it in such a better place than it was. And the WBC, to me, it wasn't necessarily the impetus behind seeing the style of baseball that we see now, but I think it normalized it. I think asking players to bring their cultural identities into the game and accepting those cultural identities for what they are and sometimes what they aren't, has made it acceptable for fans to look at these things that were verboten for years. A bat flip? Oh my goodness.
So scandalous.
And now if you're not bat flipping, what kind of hardo are you?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. We really speed ran it because if you would have showed like the average baseball fan, even in like 2009, for example, like what they were doing in the KBO, because the game had not really, I don't know, the conversation online about it did not really include like the Asian leagues at the time. There were the a few exceptions here and there, but in the KBO, I mean, the bat flip is almost more important than the hit some of the times. Like,
did you guys notice, by the way, that Fernando Tatis Jr.'s bat flip in the World Baseball Classic was a KBO special? It was over the shoulder and then bloop, and just let it go like that. It was... Mina Kimes wrote a great story on KBO bat flips. It was probably like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. But I mean, just the fact that every culture has its own kind of bat flip, you know, like that's all the stuff that has been almost buried in baseball. And it's like this autoimmune thing where it's just coming out, and it, you know, sometimes it gets drawn out, sometimes it organically comes out. But I really, maybe it's because I'm in the middle of it every day and because it consumes my life in many ways. But where baseball's at right now, I think is awesome. And I think that ties directly into the labor conversation. Now, I'd love to know from you guys, should success of a product and where that success is benefiting both management and labor factor into collective bargaining conversations? And in what respect should it?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. So I sent over some notes before we started recording. And like one of the things that I think is informing this conversation is that we have this kind of triad, right? Like that I think that everybody has had a really hard time having a conversation that includes all 3 points of this particular triangulation, which is owners, players, and fans. I think that fans maybe got a little bit of an outsized piece of the conversation coming off of 1994 because it was so traumatic the way that it unfolded. Halfway through the season gets canceled. Fans have that ripped away from them. And then in the ensuing decades, I'll make that plural because we're still talking about that moment, I think that the prioritization of that not happening to fans again became the thing that came from that. And yet there were so many factors that were leading to that moment, that were telegraphing that moment in the way that the owners were building up to that specific work stoppage to try and take their one big swing at a salary cap. There's been a lot of rumors that this is going to be another one of those. There's always a lot of rumors about those things, though, leading up to every CBA. And we don't really know until they start going back and forth how serious ownership feels about that. But to the extent that, like, the overall success of the game should play into collective bargaining. I mean, maybe I'm biased because I side with labor 100% of the time, but like that is the definition of bias. I'm aware of this, but like,
appreciate you telling on yourself.
From my perspective, you know, when I see you say the greatest priority is that, you know, no games are missed and we need to bring creative solutions to the table, I kind of think like whose responsibility is that? Because as you said, if the game is doing really well, who is the part of this triangle that stands to benefit the longest or the most directly? It's ownership. They get to sell their team for more billions of dollars. They get to have a sustainable, healthy product into the 2030s. How many things can you look around in life right now and say, this thing is going to do well financially into the 2030s? You know, this thing is going to be healthy into the 2030s. Baseball is one of those things. And players have such short careers that they are actually forced into the corner to make more self-defensive decisions in collective bargaining than I think owners are. And that's been the reason that ownership has won a lot of these, you know, collective bargaining agreements by our estimation on this podcast. And I think a lot of people's estimation. So that is like kind of the nexus of my biggest disagreement with what you said is like, they're going to be the ones locking the players out. Like the players are not going to vote to go on strike at 12:01, but the owners will lock the players out at 12:01 when the CBA expires. That is almost guaranteed. So then they are kind of setting fire to it. And then whose job is it to put that fire out? I think is the question that I want to ask.
Okay. Boy, we have a lot to unpack here. One thing though I want to start with, and I will get to this. If the greater responsibility is on owners for locking out the players, does that mean that 1994 was more on the players than the owners because the players struck?
I think there's more nuance to it, right? But I think that the owners refusing to do anything but a salary
There
cap.
is more nuance to it than to boil it down.
Well, that's why we're having the conversation on the podcast and not via Twitter subtweets back and forth with each other. Because I wanted to have this out on the podcast.
I enjoyed our early text. This podcast germinated from you essentially telling me I'm an asshole on text, which, hey, I appreciate.
That's not true. I didn't use that word.
I will take that over Twitter all day long. I don't need any more Twitter fights. I've had enough of those.
That's fair.
Oh man. Okay, so where do we start here? Here I think is if this is on the owners, right? Let's just start with that premise. I don't think it's on the owners because they're locking the players out. I think it's on the owners because they want to fundamentally change the system that has governed baseball labor for 65 years, you know, or 50 if we're going back to, you know, early days, Messersmith, McNally, et cetera, but, you know, going back to like when Marvin Miller started this whole thing up and when Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax said, you know, these salaries are not commensurate with our performance. And I think the fact that they do want to change things as fundamentally as they do absolutely puts the impetus on them to make a convincing and compelling argument and proposal ultimately to players that this is something that you should consider. I think what gives me a little bit of faith and what underpins this idea that staying on the field is something that everyone should work toward is that there are non-cap solutions that include that. And it ranges from everything with a status quo deal where life is great for everyone right now and franchise values. Hey, turns out that if you invest in your on-field product,
hang on, I'm taking notes,
and you grow your team to the point where it doesn't even have to be an annual World Series contender, a peer, whatever. If you just get fans excited by investing in your on-field product, turns out you can sell for $3.5 billion. And to me, the San Diego Padres are the greatest object lesson in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this is about goosing franchise values, and let's be honest, that's the main reason that owners right now want a cap, because they look at their peers in other sports and they see franchise values in other sports, cap sports, growing at a higher rate than theirs are. Well, it turns out this whole time there was something that you could do to goose your franchise value. And the answer to that is invest in your product and put a good team on the field and engage fans. And the Padres by no means have been like super successful. They've been good. They beat the Dodgers in a playoff series, but this isn't a team that's even reached the World Series. And they're going to be selling for more than the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you're telling me that's not going to pull up franchise values in other places along with it? Like, I get, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a billionaire, which, nice shoes. If I'm putting myself in those shoes, though, and trying to understand, because your position, your 100% steadfast behind the players all time, it is a position that you can take. That is not a position I can take with the job that I have. I can't be an advocate. I can't I learned that lesson last time. I wasn't even doing advocacy in the shit sandwich mess when I went on Pablo Torre's podcast and acknowledged asking a player, are you going to take that shit sandwich of a deal? I was using someone else's language. Didn't matter. That turned into a disaster. So in order to fairly and even-handedly cover this, I do need to try and understand the positions that all of the people I'm covering are in. And if I'm looking at a billionaire right now and I'm trying to Malkovich him and say, what is he thinking about? He's at his parties or at his retreats or wherever it is with other sports owners. And it's kind of a dick measuring contest with who's got the biggest and best asset. And right now, baseball, for some reason, and I think we would acknowledge that not having constraints on what you pay labor is one of those reasons that business people don't look at the value of a baseball team quite the same. It's not that you need that for it to be more valuable. It's that if you have that, it is inherently going to be more valuable. And so that's why I think owners want this, because they just want to be like the other billionaires. They want to have the same toys that the others do. And this isn't something like a Ferrari or like a yacht that you can go out and buy. This is something that you have to collectively bargain, thus the rub. But I know I've been yapping here. Let me just try and continue the circle here.
Land this private jet that you got to take off because you're the billionaire now. Yeah.
I think what this all goes back to, when I was talking about creative solutions, I just want the players to have a voice. That's what it is. They don't get listened to. They don't get listened to because, admittedly, they bargained away their right to have more say on rules than they did in the past. They essentially handed Major League Baseball in the last collective bargaining agreement carte blanche to do whatever it can with the rules. So, I'll talk with players who are on the rules committee. I'll talk with people at the union, and it's almost like they're not listening to what we say. Put out good ideas, have good ways to approach this system that right now I do think is unfair. And I think it's not unfairly tilted necessarily toward larger markets. I think it's unfairly tilted toward cash-heavy organizations. And what I mean by that is if you look at what the Dodgers and the Mets are doing right now, guys, the only penalties of real substance and significance that are in place for spending well above what the CBT is or multiple times what other organizations are, it's cash penalties. And I understand that some of that cash gets redistributed to those other teams. Some of that cash has gotten redistributed last year, for example, in an agreement between the union and the league to teams that were having RSN issues. Like that cash, not all of it goes into the coffers of Major League Baseball. But if you're Guggenheim, if you're Steve Cohen, and all they're saying to you is the fence between you and whatever you want to do is made of cash, of course you're going to do it because you have tons of that. And because if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers particularly, you have found that spending this cash gets you even more of it. The Dodgers had $1 billion plus in revenue last year. It is a staggering sum. And that, like the Padres' increase in franchise value, comes on the heel of greater investment in your on-field product.
I wanted to go back to that phrase, creative solutions, right? We've said it a few times. It's Rob Manfred's favorite phrase when talking about
seriously?
Sort of just once or twice.
No. I'm dead serious. I sometimes don't listen to what he says. Does he really use that?
That makes three of us.
You're right.
No, because if I am like parrot, I'm changing that phrase if that's what I'm saying.
It's less parroting like a company line and more so like that's a phrase that you see get thrown around in all collective bargaining because it's like one side always wants the other side to be the ones to come to the table with creative solutions. Totally. And I think that when I see this in the context of baseball, what I see, and then Alex, of course, obviously to finish your question, but when I see it in the context of baseball, I see owners being like, well, we don't have to figure this out. We own this sport. Like, why would we have to be the one to come up with creative solutions?
Right.
Like, we have all of the cards in our hand. But anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, no, I sort of wanted to pull at that thread a little bit because to your point, Bobby, like I think that phrase comes up a lot, and whether or not that actually leads to creative solutions and the ultimate collective bargaining agreement is another thing. But I am sort of curious, like as an insider, I won't ask you to pull out your crystal ball and say, what are they going to be negotiating over on December 2nd? But do you get the sense that I guess either side actually is interested in getting creative and reaching across the aisle, or does it feel more like the same flavor of argument that we've essentially been having for the last 30 years, which is like, we want a cap and they don't want a cap, right, and we got to reconcile it somehow.
Nothing less creative than the owners coming to the table and saying, we want a salary cap. Like, wow, guys, I'm shocked at the creativity here, boys. Right. Nice work. I hope you paid, McKinsey a ton to come up with that idea.
I don't think we're at that point yet. I think what we're going to see over the next couple of months, conversations are likely to begin sometime around the end of April. And, we're probably not going to see a proposal until after the All-Star break. So I think we're going to get a sense then of what they're trying to do, because the league tends to take the lead on this. I mean, I've talked with people at the union and asked them, why don't you guys make a proposal first? Like, why don't you take the lead on this? Mm-hmm. And the responses haven't been very positive in that direction, but I'm still curious why. I think the creative solutions are going to start, God, those fucking words again. I think they're going to start coming once we're at that, like, it's going to be a hot point in early November once the World Series is done and the clock is ticking. And frankly, it's too late. They should be having these discussions and these conversations right now. And here's what I mean by that. The aforementioned cash problem that baseball has, where that's the separator among all of the teams. How do you mitigate that? How do you make it such that there are reasonable penalties that are in place for going over a certain number or whatever it is, whatever the sides agree upon, whatever they think is fair. And how too do you have penalties at the bottom? I'm not talking a floor because as listeners of this podcast understand, floor and cap are inextricably linked. And the second you start introducing floor, you might as well be giving away the cap at that point. But could there be like, essentially a reverse CBT where if you're the Cleveland Guardians and you won your division last year and you come into this season spending $72 million, the lowest number in Major League Baseball, yet there should be a penalty for that. Like, I appreciate the fact that they have been as competitive as they have throughout the years, but they could be so much more. And when you finish 29th in batting average, on base percentage, and slugging percentage, and your biggest bat signing of the offseason is Austin Hedges, who might be this generation's like most widely known bad hitter. It doesn't say that you're trying to go out there and win. And what's the point in any of this if you're not trying to go out there and win? So these sorts of creative solutions, I think there needs to be redistribution of something from those top markets to the bottom markets. We've had revenue sharing, and I think revenue sharing needs to be completely overhauled, and think that it can tie in, frankly, to what they're primed to get via their television contract, whether it's national or national plus all of the local rights, if they're able to wrangle those somehow. But beyond that, I asked one guy, he said, I think there should be essentially not an expansion draft, but like a proto expansion draft every year where some of those smaller market teams, you get to protect 7 or 8 prospects in your organization. And then there's a draft from those smaller market teams, from those larger market teams where they get to take prospects from you. There need to be, if you go over a certain threshold spending, right now you get docked 10 spots on your first round pick. What if you lose your first round pick and you lose your first international pick? Because I do think there's probably going to be an international draft. And those guys are just 2 examples, but I do want to push back on you a little bit, Bobby, about the creative solutions and what have those ever shown us. The draft lottery was a creative solution. And Major League Baseball is less of a tanking problem right now than it has in a long time. PPI, Prospect Promotion Incentive Plan. I think that in the case of J.J. Weatherholt, in the case of Kevin McGonigal, in the case of others, there is no chance in hell they would be up right now if not for that. And so and look, these things didn't come strictly from the union, right? Like, I understand that when you picture owners, you're picturing 30 guys sitting in smoking jackets, enjoying their lives, sipping on like $5,000 a bottle scotch. Like, and
you're here to tell us we're right.
Yeah, I was going to say, and in a lot of cases that's true. But underneath those owners is a commissioner's office that, say what you will about them, about their approaches to things. There's a lot of manpower there, and there are a lot of very smart people there.
Mm-hmm.
And but
those are the most terrifying people in the whole equation. Those are the people who could really get some shit over.
Yeah, I mean, they're good at what they do. They wouldn't have made the strides in labor that they did after getting raked over the coals for the first 30 years of the BPA's existence if they didn't have an army of bright people there. Beyond that, though, I don't want to look at this as something that needs to come from the institutions of Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association. The people I've been asking about what creative solutions look like are the players and our executives and our people who are there, boots on the ground every day, understanding what runs this game. The game doesn't run from the ivory towers. The game runs on the field. The game is essentially what happens out there for 162. And nobody is as informed about how the game runs on a day-to-day basis or what works and what doesn't work as the people who are putting together the teams and the people who are playing. And I understand there are a lot of front offices that essentially have functionaries, people who have been through the commissioner's office and have been spread out throughout, a majority of the organizations to go spread the gospel of what Rob Manfred's trying to preach. I get that. But, in there are analysts who have good ideas. And there are coaches who have good ideas. And I just want this to be a marketplace of ideas where everybody has the game's best interests in mind. Shout out Adam Smith. I want it to be a place where everybody who has a good idea can feel like emboldened and empowered to throw it out there. Because at the end of the day, everybody benefits when the game is being played. That to me is what this all gets back to. That's where my premise was, guys, in the first place, that there's so much good going on right now. Why do we need to let greed stop it? The greed, yes, the greed is right now emanating from the ownership side trying to change things, but I don't think that we can discount bringing together the whole triad. I don't think we can discount the fact that the fans look at what's going on right now. And I know, Bobby, you're a Mets fan. Like, you got it good. I grew up in Cleveland, bro. I live in Kansas City. Like, I see this shit. And I live around it. And the feelings of fans right now, as great as everything is going in baseball in so many respects, they're concerned about their team's ability to win. And maybe there's some ignorance going on there because, baseball fans, we all know that the best team, the most talented team, doesn't always win. But still, I do think the feelings of fans needs to factor into this. Is it the guiding light? Probably not.
I think that, so I have so much to react to what you just said. I think we're talking a lot about the phrase creative solutions. I think that one of the most creative solutions of this century in bargaining is the pre-arbitration bonus pool. I think one of the biggest problems that we saw telegraphed for decades was that older players were making, way more of the pie as younger players were becoming more and more relevant from a production on-field value. This was a creative attempt, if you will, at sort of taking a stab at that problem. So yes, I'm open to more stuff like that, and I will say I don't really care which side it comes from necessarily, but putting myself in the shoes of a labor negotiator on a union side, there's a lot of reticence and there's a lot of game theory that goes into not spending all of your time proposing things that the management side will not respect or will use as an example to take and run with. So when I think of creative solutions, some of the stuff why does that not apply to the management side too, though? Because they know that players are not going to say yes to a salary cap. And they're pushing come up with something more creative is what I'm saying, though. If we're talking about something outside of just the typical salary cap or no salary cap conversation to address some of these systemic problems, something that Alex and I have spent a lot of time talking about on the podcast is arbitration, salary arbitration, and its relationship with team control. Do any of us on this podcast think that is a system that has evolved with the times? No.
Really?
Interesting. So you think that 6 years of team control, obviously I think salary arbitration has a role, but do you think 6 years of team control and its relationship to the pre-arbitration when you can actually go through arbitration feels accurate to the age through which players come up, through how long they've been held down in the system? You think that feels relevant into the 21st century compared to when it was formed in the 60s and 70s?
In that context, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant arbitration had not, and I was just going to point to Scooble. Is the
I love arbitration in general. I love the idea that it exists, but I think it could use a spruce in what I mean. Those kinds of creative solutions.
Yeah. So tell me, what would you do to arbitration?
I would take a year of team control off, or I would start arbitration a year earlier.
That is very helpful. See, this is the only, I love you guys. I do. I love the fact that you are as pro player as you are. But what are you trading for that? Because that's a
great question, though. But that's not even part of the conversation, is what I mean, though. Owners,
it has to be, Bobby. You can't talk about this. You can't talk
No, I'm
about
saying
getting things back without acknowledging that you're going to
Correct.
have to give up something of immense value to change it.
But I'm saying that owners wouldn't even be worth having the conversation about what they would want to exchange for that. Like they would just flat out say, based on everything that I know and everything that I've seen, if you tried to knock a year off team control, the conversation would be over and we would miss all of 2027. Like it would be done. So how creative can you be on either side if the ownership side is 30 dudes who are incredibly obstinate and who have been for decades and decades and know they will outlast every player at this table?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's just pretend we're in a universe where the owners are not proposing a cap right now, right? That's it's going to happen, but let's just pretend we're not there. And let's say that the players are the ones who are being aggressive, and they're the ones who go to the owners and say, you know what, the game is going so well right now. We actually think that we should be free agents a year earlier. How would the owners react to that? In the same way, in the same way that the players are reacting to the salary cap. Like that, I think the salary cap is equivalent to dropping a nuclear bomb on labor relations. Like, I think that's what it is. I think asking for free agency a year earlier when there have been generations, and I understand that like the players gave this away, but you can't look at the sins of past decisions as being all that relevant in the current discussion. Like what we're talking about right now is what the state of play actually is. And should players be free agents earlier? Sure. I think the way that free agency has evolved, it actually would be helpful for the game to get free agents out there a little bit earlier. But I understand the pushback that there's going to be from organizations that feel like things are unfair already. And now you're taking our most valuable asset, which is a young, controllable player, and we're going to have less of it so that he can go out into an environment where the best players almost all go and play for a half dozen teams. Like, is that how you keep a sport? I'm not saying parity is a god. I'm not saying parity is not necessarily even something that you should be prioritizing, but you also run the risk at that point of losing, how many fan bases. And maybe I'm lending too much to that idea that people are going to turn away if they feel like a sport has been unfair. And maybe we should expect more of our fans than to feel something and have that guide their decisions. But most people don't have the time, energy, any of that to devote as much thought to their games as the three of us do. Maybe they don't have the love. Maybe they just want to be casual fans. And I still think that they should, their feelings matter too. I think that has to, especially when you're running businesses that depend on those fans being engaged. And when the success of those businesses ostensibly, theoretically, determines what the salaries of the players are. Like we're at the, I know. I saw your
I have a question though.
Because
I have a question though, because one of the assumptions that we're making in this conversation,
I feel like I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee right now. I'm just the guy just sitting here. I'm the pretty face.
Alex is a fan of the A's, so he's lived this. One of the assumptions that we're making is that they actually are having a hard time running those businesses. And I got to say, I'm not so convinced, Jeff. I'm not so convinced that it's not extremely profitable for these small market owners to pretend like they're not making money and then go to the bargaining table with that presumption.
I'm with you. Now, I have talked with enough people who I trust, and this sincere truth. I've talked with enough people who I trust in small market organizations who understand the finances, and they swear up and down to me that while, yes, these organizations are increasing in value over time, that the cash part of this is very real. Now, let's say that's true. Let's just take that for the sake of this argument. The first thing I would say to them or to any organization is, why are other organizations having a pretty good time and pretty good profit running things? Like maybe instead of complaining about the sport, you take a look at how you're running the organization and assess that and look into whether you're the problem, which is a very hard thing for businesses to do sometimes. Like self-awareness is not often something that you find in sports ownership. It's why organizations can be in the doldrums for decades at a time because they're not willing to have those hard conversations. And frankly, I think the Nationals are a good example of that. Like the Nationals, especially after what I think we'd all agree with was a shocking and pretty miraculous World Series run back in 2019. I mean, they have sucked since then. And I give the Lerner family credit. Like it was a mess for a while, but they're overhauling their business operations. They're overhauling their baseball operations. They're modernizing the organization. They ask the difficult questions. And I think long-term that they're going to benefit from that. Other organizations for sure could learn to do the same thing. But Bobby, I am with you. I don't trust what they say because I think the only one that we know is the Atlanta Braves. And they're doing pretty good these days.
They're printing money.
Yeah.
They're printing money. Obviously, it's like a different scale, but yes. Anyway.
I the other side of this conversation that kind of interests me that gets significantly less airtime for various reasons, but it's sort of like the fan accessibility side of things. I mean, we're seeing the prices of actual tickets to go to the game skyrocket. If I'm paying $15 to go see a bottom feeder team, I kind of I don't really care. Like that is what it is. It's a night at the ballpark and I'll enjoy it. If I'm shelling out 70 or 80 or $90 for a ticket and a couple drinks and maybe a hot dog, like I'm gonna have a very different relationship to what it is that I'm watching. I mean, how do you think that the league is actually looking at its product in relation to its accessibility to fans, especially like when you talk about all the different layers of streaming that we have to navigate through every off season? It's kind of a mess right now. So I know the looming CBA fight is existentially important for the health of the league, but I wonder if you're getting the sense that the league is treating like actual accessibility to the game as a problem that needs to be addressed, and if that's factoring into these conversations at all.
I think what is on baseball's side here actually is inventory. With the NFL, you have 80,000 seat stadiums, but you have 8 home games a year. With the NBA and NHL, you have 20,000 seat stadiums with 40 games a year. Major League Baseball, it's 36,000 plus up to 55, I think, in some places, with 81 games. And so I think the pricing of those tickets in places like outside of Los Angeles or New York, where, they're going to sell out most nights or come pretty close to selling out, there are still ways to get into the ballpark. Now, is your experience in the upper deck going to be the same as your experience sitting behind home plate? Of course not. And I ask myself this question as a parent sometimes. I'm in a very fortunate position in my life where I can get nice tickets, and my kids have sat in great seats for most events that they've gone to. Like, what am I raising? Am I raising an entitled little shit? Yeah. Or should? No, I'm serious. No, guys, you
tipping
laugh.
pitches is where you come to have existential parental questions.
Yeah, but seriously, like, am I raising my children to be the assholes who go to games? And I don't think so. But I do think that when you bifurcate the experience for fans, when so much can be given to those, whether it's the way you enter the ballpark, the parking that you have, the whole premium experience versus what happens to fans who are in cheaper seats, frankly. I think Major League Baseball organizations and Major League Baseball writ large need to make sure that those experiences for the fans who aren't sitting in the best seats and who aren't the VIPs, that they feel like they're treated the same. Maybe the view's a little bit different, but I don't want the usher in the 500 section being a dick when the one down in the VIP lounge is, treating everybody like royalty. At the end of the day, I do think the number of tickets that are available is going to help keep prices down for the most part. Maybe not in every city, but I think the vast majority inventory is going to save that.
Yeah, in a shrinking world, like in terms of how many things are available for people, like it pays to be the thing that's shrinking slower than everything else. And baseball is that. Like there's still a ton of games, and they don't have to worry about adding a game and what that does to labor negotiations like NFL does. So I mean, I think that's the reason that we talk about all of that stuff. That's the reason that we spend so much time on a podcast that is like designed to entertain people and be funny and whatever, like talking about RSN deals and like the fine line print of bankruptcy filings for different RSN networks. Like we spend the time talking about that.
Can we talk about TV actually? Because I feel like
yes.
I think TV is the key to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the WBC showed that. Do you guys know, I don't know if this has been out there at all. I got a couple of sources telling me this, so I'm comfortable saying it. Do you guys know how much Netflix paid for just the Japanese rights to this WBC?
I have no idea. If I had to guess, it's only like 10 games probably, or like, well, I guess they showed every game in Japan. So it's all of the games of the WBC. So maybe like 100 million? Is that too high?
I mean, literally nailed it, kid. That is,
let's go. This is what we do.
I am impressed by that because that number seemed high to me.
I was going to say like 10. So
yeah. See, you're used to.
But I also don't know how money works. Sorry.
Well, so actually, it's funny though, Jeff, because I was in Japan weirdly, like by coincidence. Actually, not weirdly. Like I went over to see a WBC game, and I was watching it on Netflix over there. And it was like a big storyline that we actually haven't had time really to talk about on the podcast. But how many Japanese people have Netflix.
Dude, they were
pissed they were about having to subscribe. But it was like a big business play, basically. Like a real NBA big brain. Look at the big brain on this guy who was like, let's force Japanese people who love baseball even more than American people. And there's all these new potential consumers to actually get a Netflix subscription. So yeah, they paid a premium, I'm sure.
So all of this is to say, I don't think that Major League Baseball has a television product equivalent or even close to the NFL's, because no one does. No network, whether it's a legacy network, cable network, nothing competes with the NFL right now. What Major League Baseball does have, though, is a World Series and a postseason that more people are watching, a literal made-for-TV tournament that it turns out is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
A home run derby that's better than any other weekend all-star event. An all-star game that people still watch. And one of the big parts of these negotiations, I think that, after the national television deal expires in 2028, leading up to that, is going to be these one-off events. That's what streamers love. That's what they're willing to pay for. Field of Dreams games, things like that. Just special type events. That's just the reality of the media economy that we're living in right now. Is that right? Is that wrong? Doesn't make a difference because the owners want the money and the players want half of it. And that is essentially what should be the calculus here. So, right now, the industry makes $1.8 billion in national television money. They will at least double that. They could very well triple that. Who knows how much higher it can get. And then on top of that, potentially, the centralization of local rights, which is going to be difficult to do because the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Phillies, they don't have quite the same incentive because their RSNs are all like okay to great. Their deals are going to be hard to give up. But let's say that package is in place. It's even more because suddenly you have 2,430 games that take 3.5 hours between the 30 minutes pre, the 2.5 hours during the game, and the 30 minutes post. 3.5 hours of programming for 162 games for 6 straight months.
Content.
I mean, it's an incredibly appealing proposition.
Yeah.
And so you have all of this TV inventory right there, and someone's going to pay for it. Someone's going to pay handsomely for it. all that money gets distributed evenly. Certainly the national deal, and to some extent, I imagine the local deals are going to as well. When you have growth from $60 million a year in national television money to what could be $150 to $200 million a year, does that not solve most of your problems?
That's what I'm saying. We kind of came to the same page here, Jeff. Like,
dude, I've been
we were
here
flipping from different ends, but we're here now.
But here's the thing, and here's where I take it a step further. That's why they can't afford to miss games, Bobby.
Yeah, yes,
because that
jeopardizes it.
Because the second that all of these companies that want to give you billions of dollars look at what you're doing and what you're fighting over and how unnecessary that fight actually is, they're going to say to themselves, who are these morons? And what are they doing? Like, why would they do this? You talked about 1994 earlier. I lived through 1994. 1994 was going to be like the best year of like teenage Jeff Passan's life because the Cleveland Indians were good in 1994, man.
And pop-up video was on, so it was like I'm set.
You know what? That didn't come to like 96 or 97, but close.
Okay, all right.
Alex's favorite thing to do is reference a conversation we had before we were recording that the listeners will have no idea what that was referring to, but hell yeah, let's go.
They'll know eventually. So, 1994 and the effect that it had on the baseball fan, like, guys, it was real. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And that was at a time also when I don't know that baseball was in as good of a place, frankly, in the mid 90s as it is right now. So I feel like there's even more to lose right now. And so that to me has been, when people ask me, do you think games are going to be missed? My answer's been no. And it's not because I have a whole lot of faith in these two sides to come together and hammer this out and figure it out. It's because I think both of them understand that losing money off of TV is going to negatively affect both of them in a significant way, a far more significant way than any of the gains that they could get by holding firm in their positions in labor conversations.
Yeah. And that's been our answer too. I mean, we've done several states of labor in baseball on the podcast over the years with our friend Michael Bauman, and that's always kind of the place that we land. It's like they are much happier to be incrementalist about it. I think Alex and I spend a lot of time dreaming about what it would look like to be more, like more aggressively overhaul what this landscape looks like, but it feels extremely unlikely that will happen. Okay, we are definitely not going to solve all of these problems on this podcast, certainly not 12 months in advance, or I guess it's really only like 8 months in advance. So why don't we put a pin in it there? As it changes throughout the year, we'll leave some on the table for future conversations. Speaking of future conversations, Jeff, you have a new baseball podcast coming up that we saw a press release. You want to just give people a little tease, a little taste? Is your podcast going to solve all of these problems? Like, is everyone going to be so happy about getting to consume this media? They're just going to be like, owners, players, doesn't even matter. We're all part of one big kumbaya moment here in the baseball world.
I'll say this. We are going to address labor, and we're going to address it in a number of ways, because it, to me, is every bit as much alongside the Dodgers and what they're trying to do and the growth of baseball. To me, labor is the defining story of 2026. And I'm hopeful that it will not be the defining story of 2027 as well.
Sure, yeah.
But the genesis of this show was there are a lot of new fans in baseball. And it can be tough, I think, if you're a new fan, to understand all of the nuances of the game. And so I wanted to tell stories through the various people that I've come across in my 20-something years doing this now to help educate the new fans, but also to have enough depth and enough stuff where diehard fans also are able to listen to it without feeling like they're talked down to. Mm-hmm. And to do so, we're getting a lot of big names, and I'm not trying to be obtuse here without giving them away, but it's going to be people you want to listen to speak. And why did my voice just stop working right now?
We just got too animated,
Hold on, I did. Let's mute.
It's the ghost of Marvin Miller coming in to help me out here,
That is so much better. Wow.
You're gonna have to deal with this a lot in the content creation game now.
That's right.
You talk for an hour.
You're not always gonna have a Bobby to fix it in post. Although you
gargle some salt water.
Hopefully, yeah. hopefully you have some nice people over there at Omaha who will fix it in post for you.
Yeah, Kirsten Sebecki, Mark Grillo, good people involved, and Richard Staff as well.
Ooh,
yes,
frenemy of the podcast, Richard Staff.
Which part is the enemy?
Just a fake drama that we drummed up that we would never go on each other's podcasts, that we fake squashed a year ago.
Okay, so you did the staff cast?
Oh yeah, we've had the staff cast experience.
Yeah, beef squashed.
Yeah, big fan of the staff cast.
I don't actually remember what we talked about on Staffcast. That's kind of the beauty of Staffcast, is that you don't even really know what's going on. Exactly. Like while you're on the podcast, you're like, "How the fuck do we get here?" But
the last time I was
have been on our pod now. Yeah, at this point,
the last time I was on, it was just me and Rich, and
that's a vibe.
We wound up talking about how Elon's AI knows me. And
I recall this conversation. Yes,
it was terrifying. I haven't gone back on to ask anything, but I asked it, Alex, to so I have this spreadsheet going into free agency every year that myself and Alden Gonzalez, Jesse Rogers, Jorge Castillo, the whole staff at ESPN uses, and I always like having service time for players on there, but I didn't want to go to every individual baseball reference page. And so I first went to ChatGPT and I was like, please pull me the service time for each of these players from their baseball reference page. And ChatGPT sucked. And then I was like, okay, let's see what Elon's AI can do.
You went to Grok?
I went to Grok. And let me tell you something,
Grok,
dude.
what is baseball? Grok, can you explain to me who's the Dodgers?
You know what? I have a weird relationship with AI, but the way that I look at AI is it's what I've always wanted Google to be. I can ask it a question and it gives me an answer instead of 3,000 potential answers that I have to click through. Now, that answer... you never know what it's going to look like. But
unfortunately, for the foreseeable future, it's usually wrong. But we're hanging tight. Yes. The entire U.S. economy is hanging tight on a whim.
I went and checked. I checked the first 4 it had, and I was like, Grok can pull service time like a motherfucker. And so in that moment afterward, I have found myself being polite to the AI. Right. And I know it's
Jeff,
weird.
Don't go towards the light, Jeff.
I listen, I get it. I try to be a polite person generally. And also when they take over, which we know is an inevitability at some point, we are going toward Judgment Day. It's going to happen. Just get used to it. But maybe they'll spare my house. Maybe they'll spare my family. And so I said, thank you. That's all I did, guys. I wasn't genuflecting to them. I wasn't saying you are the greatest creation. No, I just said thank you. And it responded something like, I'm just honored that Jeff Passan would ask me a baseball question. And I was like, fuck me. This is not where I wanted this to go at all. And so I just left.
Well, sleep well knowing that I think you were maybe the first ethical user of Grok. So you're doing better than everyone else on that platform.
The real test will be when you fire up one of your many burners, because we know you got some like a bot farm that you're using to crowd our mentions. That's if it knows your burner, it's Jeff Passan.
I've never tweeted intentionally from my burner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You've never done the Keith Hernandez, I thought I was replying to a comment. Accidentally, I'm replying to a conservative Facebook page being like, that rocks. That's
no. I've never given a like to my, I just do it there to follow people because my rule has always been that I follow colleagues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But there are people beyond my colleagues who I should follow because I kind of need to know what's going on.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Jeff Passan, you have been very generous with your time, and we are very appreciative of it. This was a really fun conversation. Thank you for all the time and for all the thoughtfulness.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you guys want to have it. Like this is important stuff. And these are things that need to be discussed among reasonable people, because those who are going to be involved in the conversation quite often are not reasonable people. So this is when I say, I'm going to do it again. When I say creative ideas, they can come from you guys too. Like they can come from any of us. And
I think Dick Monfort is going to love Alex's creative ideas.
You know what? Dick Monfort might not, but Chris Bassett might, or Cedric Mullins might, or somebody who's in the room. Listen, we live in a moment now where media ideas get thrown into the ether and the president of the United States acts on them 24 hours later. So who's to say that in that climate, that tipping pitches might not be the ones who put out the idea that save Major League Baseball in 2027?
That's right.
Let's
first,
go.
we
You heard it here
unionize the
first.
minors, and second, we save baseball from the inevitable lockout. Okay, he's Jeff Passan. You know where to find all of this stuff. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, boys.
Okay, thank you to Jeff. Thank you to you, Alex. Thanks for not saying and making me bleep it, even though I just did that to myself.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I think Jeff said it, but that's not against the rules.
No,
It's not against the rules for a guest to come on and talk about a band topic. It's just
you and
against-
I are the only ones beholden.
We're the judge, jury, and executioner of our own lives. If you liked what you heard and you want more, well, I have some great news for you, because patreon.com/tippingpitches hosts hundreds of hours of more Tipping Pitches content for your listening right now for the low, low price of $10 a month. I don't think we have a sale going right now, but we might. So it might be the low, low price of $5 a month. You'll just have to go there to find out. This week, we are going to start doing 3 Up, 3 Down, which is the thing that we do during the MLB season over on Patreon, where we share 3 things that are bringing us joy, 3 things that are taking that joy away. That is the format for our bonus episodes, which post every other week on Patreon without fail. Are you pumped for the MLB season? Was this a good episode that we just did?
I think this was the best episode we've ever done.
Until the next one.
It is certainly the most episode we've ever done.
It's not even true. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping Pitches.
Tipping pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!